Welcome to Minced. It's the high school version of the hit show Chopped on the Food Network. Hi everybody, I'm Kelly Hydrater, your host. We take 4 of our student chefs here at the Lenawee Intermediate School District and we put them to the test. They have to take these ingredients and make some unforgettable dishes to win over this panel of judges. Let's meet our 4 chefs. First up, Haley Robb. She's a junior at Britton Deerfield High School. She's organized and driven at the LISD Culinary Lab, and that gave her a spot on the LISD Pro Start competition team. She also takes her culinary skill with her as she works at Bob Evans.
I started cooking when I was around 5 with my mom. I've always been in the kitchen cooking with her, baking, normal stuff like that. So Greg, I have no clue who the heck he even is. Gage is a senior at my school. He's a big talker. He's really good at pastries, so he can probably kick my butt in that, but otherwise, I feel like I got it down. So Anthony, he's an AM. I know him from a catering event. I know that he burned his hand really bad. He had like a whole blistered hand and it took like 2.5 months to heal. I feel like I'm gonna win this because I have a lot of confidence in myself and I feel like I can just nail it.
Next up, we have Greg Grohl. He's a junior at Addison High School, and this is his first time in the Minced competition. We consider him our hippie chef with that chill and swagger in the kitchen. But he isn't letting these veterans in the group intimidate him. Greg is bringing his Addison Panther pride here to the kitchen.
I always really loved to cook. It's just, a passion of mine. Always just had an knack for it. I've learned how to properly cook like meats and vegetables and stuff like that, which I had no clue to do before, and I'm pretty confident in it now. I'll start with Anthony. His strengths would be, he's got a few strengths. He's kind of sharp and he knows what to do in some situations. And then his weaknesses would be he's kind of clumsy and accident prone all the time, like all the time. I don't really know much about Haley because she is in PM, but I do know that she is a pretty good cook and she's pretty smart, but I think some of her weaknesses is she'd probably get distracted pretty quick. Gage, his strengths would be that he's calm and cool and he doesn't really show much emotion, but that can also be his weakness. When it comes to cooking, it's an art and you want to, show your emotion on your plate.
Our third contestant, Gage Cordy, Britton Deerfield Senior. We call him the Iceman. Calm and cool in the LISD Culinary Lab. Gabe was part of this year's Pro Start competition, and he is currently a chef at Tecumseh Brewery Company. He's ready to put his skills to the test.
I basically chose to be in culinary because I can't just sit and stare at a computer for my whole life. It would be boring and I couldn't do it. I need to be hands-on, be doing stuff, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I know what it's like to have a camera and 50 or so people watching me cook dessert within an hour. Pros with Greg, he's always positive. He's always got something positive to say, but I feel like he's gonna drop some stuff. Anthony, same deal. He's very clumsy. He's very accident prone. I'm sure some of the other students have already said that one because it's true. But he also seems extremely positive for what he's about to be walking into, with me and Haley being on the Pro Start team and kind of knowing more about competition than they do. Haley is a pretty good cook, as what I've seen, and I don't really have anything bad to say about her.
And finally, Anthony Della Rosario. He's a junior at Madison High School. And guess what? He's our chef that's a bit accident prone, but this doesn't stop him. He calls them his war wounds. Someday he will be a chef making some wonderful dishes.
My aunt and my grandma, they were pretty good cooks. Well, extremely well cooks. I saw this program and when we did our school visits and I fell in love with cooking. It was amazing and cook all the time at home. First day of cooking, actual first day of cooking, I grabbed the cast iron because, thought it was, plastic handle. It wasn't plastic handle, of course. So I walked out with third-degree burns, went to U of M, said it was the biggest blister they've ever seen. But that didn't stop me. I don't know a lot about her. I did catering with her a few times. I know she's fast at dishes, but I don't think she's fast at making food. Greg, well, other than he's wearing sweatpants and late every day to school, but I mean, I've seen him in the culinary thing. He's all right. All right, Gage, I know he's calm, cool, collected. I saw him on the Pro Star team, but I think that slow and steady wins the race, but slow doesn't really work for 20-minute countdown. I'm gonna win this by using my knowledge and making the best dishes that possible.
Welcome, chefs. Now here are the rules. There are 3 rounds: appetizer, entree, and dessert. Each course has its own basket of mystery ingredients, and you must use every ingredient in the basket in some way. Also available to you are pantry and fridge.
There's not much competition.
Each round is timed, and when we are done, the judges will critique all of your dishes. And if you don't make the cut, you will be minced.
I'm gonna win this thing. Pure knowledge and skill.
In this basket, you must use sausage, cream of mushroom soup, English muffins, ricotta cheese, pumpkin seeds, and Cheez-Its.
I think I have the heart for it, I guess.
How are you going to bring down your competition?
With just smarts and skill, that's it.
Chefs, you have 20 minutes on the clock, and time starts now.
So I went straight for the Robo-Cube because I know the pumpkin seeds and the Cheez-Its, that was kind of a hard mixture, so I had to mix them together, and I try to use them as like, just a topping of, the biscuits and gravy kind of thing. I felt a little rushed. 20 minutes was a really short time, but I think I did good with the English muffin with butter and, on the skillet thing. And then I created just regular cream mushroom sauce. I put the sausage right in it, put a little garlic on it for the topping and as a garnish.
Cheez-Its, I didn't really know how to throw those in, so I kind of threw them in like a kind of crouton type thing. The mushroom soup, I was like, what the heck am I even gonna do with this? But then I saw the ricotta and I thought I can probably put the ricotta in with mushroom because it could thicken it up. And then I put that over, and it was kind of like a sausage, mushroom gravy type thing.
And let's introduce you to our panel of judges. First up, Jonathan Tobar. He's the principal of our middle college here. Jonathan, what are you looking forward to in this competition?
I'm looking forward to see what the students' creativity is. I am, I have been to 34 different countries, and I have tasted food all over the planet, so I'm really looking forward to see if they can impress me.
Yeah, no pressure here, right, everyone? Our second judge, Elizabeth Pachias. She is also our instructor here of marketing and entrepreneurship. Elizabeth, you are a self-proclaimed foodie, I know as well. So what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to trying something that I've never had before. I'm looking for creativity, innovative ideas, and seeing what they can develop in a short amount of time.
Fantastic. And of course, the instructor here for the class, Chef Jake Graff. Chef, tell us what you're looking forward to seeing out of your students.
It's always fun seeing what they've learned throughout the last year or so, and seeing those techniques, skills that they've honed over the course of the year, and putting it into a dish that they have no idea what they are going to create.
At first, it was pretty tough. I burnt my seeds, my pumpkin seeds, and parts of my biscuits, but at the same time, I salvaged that because I saved a little pumpkin seed, and then I just threw it in with my sauce.
Something doesn't smell good.
And then I just cut off the edges of the biscuits and salvaged it. So, not super confident, but not distraught.
So when I saw the basket, I looked at it and I was like, what am I gonna do with this? I had no clue. So I just kind of winged it, and I thought I didn't see any kind of like bright colors in there besides like the orange Cheez-Its. So I went over and I grabbed some green, which was parsley, and some red. So I thought I'll just shave the red pepper and throw it on wherever I see fit. And the last 10 minutes is when I was like, you know what, I need to figure something out before this is over. So I went over and grabbed some pasta, threw it on, and then I made like a basic bechamel sauce with a roux in it, mixed it up, and then I started adding cheese. So I put a bunch of Parmesan in it, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this soup then. So I added the soup to the cheese sauce and made it like a mushroom/cheese sauce. I cut up my English muffin and tossed it in oil and put some seasoning on it and threw it in the oven, made croutons.
5-minute warning, chefs?
So at this point, I mean, at the 3-minute mark, I would think that they need to start plating.
I'm not sure anybody, well, I think Anthony's getting started there. He's got his plate, but I'm not sure anybody else is really even on that.
On that same level.
And
right now.
presentation is definitely going to play a role in our overall.
Absolutely. To me, like you were saying earlier, the first impression through the eyes will either turn me off or turn me on to a dish. So I'm curious to see that. I'm hoping that they'll pay attention to that and realize that the consumer wants that. It's important. I'm paying for a dish. I want to make sure it looks presentable and it's welcoming and appetizing from the first impression.
Everywhere that we go, he makes people laugh and makes people smile, and I feel like I have that quality.
He's the one who always takes me fishing. I watch golf with him. And
I watch him cook, because when I grow up, I want to be a cook too.
we have the same faces like this.
Dad is the one, when you fall, that picks you up.
That unconditional sense of presence and reassurance is really what makes him my father.
May I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands up, chefs. Forward.
Good job.
I think I did all right.
For sure. I'll be in the next round. Just based on everyone else's plate seemed rather sloppy.
I know I did better than Greg. I'm very confident.
I think I did pretty good. I think there's some good flavors going into the judge's mouth.
Chef Haley, you are the first up. Tell our judges about your dish.
Well, I have made a ricotta, mushroom soup, and sausage gravy with a roasted English muffin. I roasted the English muffin with Cheez-Its, which is odd, and then I microplaned the pumpkin seeds over. Hope you enjoy.
You know, a lot of different textures on the dish that looks like from my angle. What do you think? I'm gonna start with you, Mr. Tovar.
You know, that initial taste is actually very good. It's very, very, very welcoming. I like the contrast. It feels like herbs, but you said you didn't use any herbs.
No, I did not.
So the pumpkin seed provides a nice little contrast. I would have liked it perhaps to be a little crunchier in terms of texture, but very good. The appeal to it, I didn't really like. It looked like you just kind of dropped it on the plate. To be honest, it didn't look very appetizing. It looked more like a mistake. So I would not have gone in that direction in terms of presentation, but the taste is actually pretty good, and I think you did a nice job contrasting it with some good texture.
Thank you. Mrs. Bachias, what do you think?
I think that it's kind of this petite version of biscuits and gravy, but kind of an elevated version of it. And I thought that it was very clever to microplane your pumpkin seeds because it gave it a pretty dusting. And so I thought the flavor was good, but it was missing something. Like there wasn't a clear protein. Something else needed to hold it together a little bit. So.
Yeah, I would agree with piggyback off what they said. You know, when you have Cheez-Its, Cheez-Its is a really bold flavor. I didn't get Cheez-It anywhere in the dish. So it doesn't even look like it's on the plate, even though you said you roasted it with the English muffin. But overall, so no time in it. I got a lot of time. So it must be somewhere.
It must be from the sausage.
Yeah, it could have been in the sausage.
But I think flavors are there. I think it was a great idea incorporating the ricotta and all that together. But like they said, presentation, textures, this need to be refined a little bit.
Chef Gage, please tell the judges about your dish.
I've made a pasta with a cheese sauce that I've made from a basic bechamel sauce with a blonde roux. I also added a little bit of the cream of mushroom soup to it, along with the ricotta cheese as part of the flavor of the cheese sauce. On the side, we have a crouton made from the English muffin, which I have seasoned with oregano and salt with vegetable oil. The sausage was on top, along with some parsley flakes and a couple of thin slices of red pepper.
Quite a dish, Mr. Tovar.
Yeah, you know, Gage, presentation-wise, this is the best we've seen. I wanted to eat this. When I saw this, I said, I can't wait to taste that. I gotta tell you, lacking a little bland. Your cheese sauce was a little bland. Could use a little more salt, some more flavors. When I tasted it, didn't really do much for me. Your sausage tasted great. I did not see where the Cheez-It was in there, but I would say the crouton felt very out of place. It felt like you just threw it in there. It didn't really belong with this dish. It felt forced. Even the pumpkin seeds I was unsure of, but even as a garnish, they work. I probably wouldn't eat them, but it does give some appeal to your dish. But overall, pretty good.
Mrs. Pachitis.
It's a little disjointed for me. Each thing separately is okay, but it doesn't come together. I'm not into raw red pepper as a garnish for a hot pasta. And the pumpkin seeds were a little burnt. I thought the flavor in the sauce was good though. I did enjoy the bechamel that you made.
Yeah, I mean, what's one crouton doing on a plate would be my biggest thing. Visually, it looks like there are some deer turds on my plate, so I'm not sure if I necessarily would want to eat it just from the visual standpoint. So maybe you would have been better off keeping them raw or tossing them into some olive oil, salt, pepper, or something like that. And to mimic, the raw red pepper, it just looks like everything is just kind of thrown together, and there's no continuity in the plate.
Chef Anthony, please tell the judges about your dish.
Well, this is on the bottom layer is a pan-seared English muffin. Then right on top of that, you have like a normal biscuits and gravy, sausage, garlic, and cream mushroom soup. And on top, I went with the Rebel Cube. I got the pumpkin seeds and the cheeses as a topping.
Mr. Tovar.
Well, wow. A lot of salt, a lot of garlic. A little overpowering, a little much. I think the Cheez-Its already give you some salt, so it adds even more salt to the mix. I'm not sure about this presentation. This looked like a mess up. Like you just dropped some mushroom soup on the side of the plate. And I'll be honest, this other part looked great. I think it's looked the best in presentation that we've seen this far, and it really did not need this. It was unnecessary. Again, hard to distinguish all the flavors with so much garlic and salt that I felt to take away. But I love the idea that you were going for.
Mrs. Pachitis.
I think the crumble is very lovely. I like it. I like garlic and salt a lot, so that doesn't bother me. I thought it was very good. The cream of mushroom soup, though, tasted like a can of cream of mushroom soup. It didn't get incorporated or change. It's not enough of a change. So it should have been like thinned down, made into a different type of sauce because it tastes like cream of mushroom soup.
Chef?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the garlic and salt was okay. I think it added a little to that very dull cream of mushroom soup. I love the idea of the RoboCoupe pumpkin seed Cheez-It mixture. I think that was great. The ricotta cheese, instead of just doing a blob of it on top, incorporate it somehow. Add maybe some red pepper, something from the pantry into it to get a little bit more flavor. Even adding some chopped parsley to it changes that texture, changes that color to bring it even more alive and up the plate. And like Mr. Tovar said, that this mess up here, this isn't cutting it to move on. But overall, I think the flavors, I would rather have it more seasoned than less seasoned, which you did in this plate.
Chef Greg, please tell the judges about your dish.
I made a kind of cheese sauce gravy with the ricotta and the cream of mushroom soup, and then I topped it with pan-seared sausage and some kind of burnt biscuit, to be honest, and crushed cheese it and parsley.
So, was the burnt intentional?
Not entirely intentional, but I went with it because it didn't look too bad, and I thought, hey, a little char won't be bad on
Well, I'll tell you, it takes away from the whole flavoring. I couldn't taste anything but that burnt. It's unfortunate because presentation-wise, I liked. It looked appealing to me. It looked interesting, at least. It was kind of weird for me to have that paste underneath. I would have liked it maybe underneath, perhaps something underneath that. I like that it used color. Parsley, I'm not sure if it was a really good choice. Really lacking flavor. But again, hard to tell from just the strong burnt taste. Can't taste anything else. So, yeah, didn't like it.
It looked pretty on the plate, but again, it's just the bitterness of the burnt muffin kind of took over everything. But I appreciate the color that you put into it.
Yeah, I mean, like Dave said, the burnt really overshadowed everything else in the plate. You know, on the parsley, make sure you do a fine chop if you're using it as a garnish. I have some pretty big leaves here. And the cheeses, use it more than just crumbled up. You know, do it something, you know, maybe have done the pumpkin seeds. Did you add pumpkin seeds to this?
Yeah, I mixed it in with the gravy. I minced it and then mixed it in.
Okay. So yeah, just maybe showcase those items a little bit more.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all, we approach re-employment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
Donate to Goodwill, where your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community.
Life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire, but you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
So whose dish will be minced? Chef Greg, you have been minced.
Chef, the overcoming burnt taste in your dish was what sent you home. The flavors, everything was there, but we just couldn't taste it because of your burnt English muffins. So good luck. You know, we appreciate you on the show, and good luck in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Definitely, I could have not burnt all my food. I burnt my pumpkin seeds and my biscuits, and I couldn't salvage my biscuits, but I ended up salvaging my pumpkin seeds, and I should have just watched my dishes better.
Round 2, and we are on to the entree. Chefs, open your basket. In this basket, you must use salsa, hot dogs, Parmesan cheese, mayonnaise, Old Bay seasoning, and a lobster tail. We've got 20 minutes on the clock. Chefs, ready, set, go.
I was shocked. The hot dogs took me by surprise. Didn't know what the heck I was going to do about that. I saw everything else. I was confident on the lobster. I've never cooked with lobster, ever. I watched a YouTube tutorial. I started with actually cutting open my lobster because I thought the lobster was going to take the longest, which it did. That was a very struggle, but I got through it. Kitchen cheers does everything, I guess. Then I went straight for making a sauce, which was just flour, milk, a little bit of butter. Then I combined just diced peppers and diced hot dogs into it. Then I pan-seared the lobster, and I put the Italian seasoning with all that in it. I was frantically looking for a thermometer because I didn't want judges being sick. I don't think that would have won me the competition.
So I was totally like, what in the world am I supposed to use this in? I had no clue what to do with it, and I ended up putting like 4 of the things that were in the basket into one thing. So the first thing I did was I walked over and grabbed the butter because I knew there wasn't a lot of it and I wasn't sure what the other 2 contestants were going to do with their lobster, but I plan on butter poaching mine. So I went over and I grabbed 4 sticks of butter and I was like, all right. So I got that and I came back and I started melting them down because that can take a while, and plus you have to cook the lobster very gently, I want to say, because if you go over, it's going to be really rubbery. If you go under, you get people sick. Next part of my process was figuring out what kind of sauce I could make out of the salsa and the mayonnaise. I figured I would mix them together, and then I did, and it was really chunky, and I didn't like how it was chunky. So I threw it in a food processor and just blended it up. And then I added some cream to it and some flour, so it would be more of it and thicker. I made little discs of butternut squash and just pan fried those with some butter and garlic, and I did the same with the hot dogs.
5-minute warning, chefs.
It's an interesting basket, kind of a take on a surf and turf.
Yeah.
You know, with the lobster tail and hot dog.
That's a challenge. How are you going to mix those two?
I don't know.
I would never have done that on my own.
It'll be interesting to see what they come up with.
How am I even gonna cook this? Well, I decided to pan sear my lobster. I decided to take it out of the lobster tails because I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with the tails. So I just decided to cut it up, kind of like in a scallop type form. And then I decided to pan sear it with the hot dogs because I could get the flavor from the hot dogs without actually having hot dogs on my plate. I decided to make like a kind of bechamel sauce, which is like a cheese sauce with heavy cream. I added the Parmesan cheese that we were given with some heavy cream. With the salsa, I decided to add corn and kind of turn up the heat with it because then I had like a sweet, sour, then I kind of had the spicy with the salsa.
We're at the 1-minute mark, chefs.
They've both been on the Pro Star team. They've worked with lobster. They know what to do. I am sitting over here first year trying to figure out how to cook a lobster.
Lobster is really tricky, as Elizabeth was saying, with the texture. I mean, you overcook that, it can be chewy, you undercook that. I mean, it'll be that, and how they're gonna mix in the hot dog, because I just don't see those two going. And I'm looking forward to them impressing me and proving me wrong, but I just don't see how you can combine those 2 proteins and still make a dish that is pleasing.
There's just one place where students are students first, and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school. High school sports offer more than the joy of competition. Studies show that student athletes are also likely to enjoy greater levels of achievement in other areas of their lives, including academics. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education.
If you want to be a parent, it doesn't matter how you play or even what you wear. You just need to be there. Thousands of teens in foster care don't need perfection. They just need you.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Oh, there's Gage. 1, and hands up, chefs.
Time's up.
Wow. Well done. Right down to the last little wire. Gage is running back to the pantry.
Gage, he had mint leaves. He decided to put them on last like 10 seconds. He had 2 big mint leaves on 2 of the plates, and then the other one, it was like a baby leaf, like that big.
The mint at the last second was kind of my instinct because I know how much Chef likes colors on his plate.
Chef Haley, please tell the judges about your entree.
So I have pan-seared a lobster tail with hot dogs, and I attempted to make a bechamel sauce, and I just kind of threw in a little corn salsa to add in some spice with that.
Mr. Tolbert, what do you think?
I love this. You know, the portion size, it was the first thing that hit me that I don't really like. but the flavoring, I like that sweetness that you mixed in with the sauce with the lobster. I love that you can't taste the hot dog. And I couldn't think of a better way to incorporate it and still use it in this dish. The salsa is delicious. Tell me a little bit more about the salsa.
I just had corn cob, cut it off the cob, and I kind of like warmed it up a little bit before I mixed it with the salsa.
Good choice.
And then I warmed them.
A good pairing, and I even liked it that was a little, that the temperature was colder. It was a good contrast. At first, initially, it took me more than one bite to confirm that, but I really like it. Good job.
Thank you.
Mrs. Pachitis.
I think that's very clever that you cooked the lobster with the hot dog so you get the saltiness and flavor of the hot dog without having to eat the actual hot dog, and you kept it very elevated and pretty. My sauce was a little broken, but other than that, I thought the flavors were very good.
Thank you.
Chef.
I would agree. I mean, the lobster was well cooked. I really liked the texture, the crunch that you got from the corn in the salsa. Plating could have done a little bit better, maybe a little green aspect to it, or even folded in some parsley into your salsa just to brighten up the plate. But overall, I mean, I think the flavors were there. Great job.
Chef Gage, please tell the judges about your entree.
So I've prepared a butter poached lobster with a slice of seared hot dog and squash seared in butter with garlic cloves in there with it. And then the sauce is salsa that has been finely blended, mixed with mayonnaise, Parmesan cheese, and some heavy cream.
A very small portion on your plates for an entree.
It is a small portion for an entree. The sauce is very good. It definitely was rich, and the lobster tail was perfectly cooked. The only thing I have to say is I'm not into garnish that doesn't serve a purpose, and to me a mint leaf it's not to be eaten, so it's just there. And so if you're going to garnish, it should have a purpose to it. So
I think presentation was gorgeous. I mean, you had the bright color from the lobster, the nice orange color from the sauce, the yellow and the green. Even though the mint leaf doesn't serve a purpose, it does not add anything to the plate. It still is a nice color. Lobster tail was well cooked. Really enjoyed your sauce. Did you put your Parmesan cheese in the sauce as well? Yeah, I mean, it all plays well. I would have liked to seen a little bit more, individuality between those ingredients. But I think it's very clever that you can put all those ingredients into the sauce and bring those flavors to it. So overall, really nice.
Mr. Tobar.
I really love the sauce. I love the presentation. As Chef said, fantastic, very appetizing. It looked like a nice dish that would belong in some sort in a gourmet restaurant. The mint leaf, I figure. As I look to my colleagues here, they had a nice mint leaf. Look at mine. So I would just say, I agree that it's got to play into it, but it really has to complement the plate. This takes away from the plate. The hot dog, you made it work. You made it work. I'm not a fan of hot dogs. It was a tough protein choice, but with the way your sauce balanced that lobster, it was edible to take a bite of the hot dog. So nice job.
Chef Anthony, please tell the judges about your dish.
Well, I prepared a lobster. I put that with vegetable oil, thyme, and rosemary, and I combined that together. Then I pan-fried it. Then with the sauce, I mixed the hot dogs, the peppers, the cheese, and flour and milk. I just wanted that creamy sensation with it. And on top of that is parsley.
Lobster might be a tad bit overcooked. It's a little rubbery. Sauce is a bit chunky, not really that smooth consistency that you are looking for in a sauce. Hot dogs, you put the hot dogs in it, along with, what else is in your sauce?
Peppers, that
Old Bay
seasoning.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's there. It just needs some refinement. Is all I would really do with this plate.
Mr. Tobar.
first impression wasn't that positive. When I first looked at it, thought it was missing something. I don't know if I would like to see it in a bed of pasta or something. That first taste though was very good. It's soft, it's smooth. I like that crunch that the red pepper provided. It gave it some texture that was missing. A little bit of the undercooked of the lobster, but I felt like the dish was missing something. I don't know if it needed a salad or some corn as it was previously used. It needed something else. I'm not sure what that is.
Mrs. Pachitis.
I'll have to agree with Mr. Tovar. I did like the incorporation of the red pepper because it brightened it up and kind of gave a little sweetness to the dish, and it did need to be lightened up a little bit with that heavy sauce. So I think that was a good choice on your part. I thought that the lobster was cooked well, and so it was a good dish. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Rowe. 14 years ago, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. Well, this year she celebrated her 50th wedding anniversary.
Is that why you've taken off your jeans?
No, I've taken off my jeans to prove the link between jeans and the fight against breast cancer.
Oh, that's interesting. Do I have to take off my jeans?
No, nobody has to take off their jeans, Mom, but everybody has to go to denimday.com right now. I'll explain everything, dress code optional.
Apparently. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. Learn more at denimday.com.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
So whose dish will be minced? Chef Anthony, you have been minced.
Anthony, we were very impressed with this dish and your appetizer dish, but ultimately it came down to the fact that your lobster was undercooked. We appreciate your creative use of the hot dog and incorporating it into your sauce, but we had to mince you due to the preparation of the lobster. Sorry.
I was kind of upset. I thought I did a lot better than what I guess they said, but that's all right. I'm going back to my business of Anthony's Bakery, and yeah.
And we're down to the final round, desserts. Chefs, are you ready? For the dessert basket, you must use this cocoa packet, cream cheese, saltines, coconut, cherries, and almond butter.
Desserts come very easily to me.
I'm the only girl, and I made it to the last round, so it kind of shows that I'm skilled.
We've got 20 minutes on the clock. Chefs, ready, set, go.
Come on, y'all!
So I saw that we had cream cheese in our basket. I was thinking maybe like a bagel type thing, because I always think bagels with cream cheese. But I was like, obviously there's no bagels in the pantry, so I can't do bagels and fruit or something. So I started thinking, and I looked at like the chocolate, and I was like, oh, well maybe I can make chocolate cream cheese. So I did that. And then I saw bread in the pantry, and I was like, well, I could probably pan-sear that. So make it like a crust, like a kind of a toast. And it was my rendition on a dessert grilled cheese. I did the 2 pieces of bread that were very nicely toasted, and then I had the chocolate cream cheese at the bottom, and then I sprinkled the coconut, and then I sprinkled some of the saltine crackers with that. It was really like finely done, so it was like a dust almost. And then I put strawberries and cherries in it, and then with the top piece of bread, I put almond butter, and that's it.
Don't worry about it.
And when I saw the dough, I thought Haley was also looking at it. So I went over and I took both containers of it. And then I started adding I made the mint sugar with the mortal and pestle, and I threw some on top. And then I threw it into the oven and baked it. And then I thought, ooh, cream cheese frosting. Could put basil sugar in it, or the mint sugar instead of normal sugar. So I threw the mint sugar in there, and then I was like, chocolate mint, cream cheese frosting. That sounds pretty good. So I made that. And then I couldn't think of what to do with the saltines, so I just crushed them up, threw them in the almond butter, thinking it would make it a little bit crunchier, even though almond butter is kind of crunchy as it is, because it's got chunks of almonds in it. So I mixed it together, made it crunchy.
I want to direct your attention to the end of our table here. We have last year's winner with us, Carson Muslov. Carson, tell us how you felt at this point.
I think it'll be interesting. It could go either way.
At this point, though, in the competition, when you were head-to-head for your dessert round, did you know what you wanted to go? What did you want to do right when you saw the basket ingredients?
Yeah, and then unfortunately, the person I was competing against had the exact same thought, so I kind of had to think on my feet and change it up. So I kind of hope that it doesn't happen with you guys.
Carson, what's the thought pattern when you're heading toward the pantry? I mean, are you just kind of winging it?
Somewhat, for the most part. It's trying to figure out what items in the pantry will go well with the items that are in the basket.
5-minute warning, chefs.
Obviously, when you think dessert, you think sweet. So, really looking at your ingredients, what you can come up with, make something sweet, hopefully tastes good, and put it in the judge's hands.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands up, chefs. Time is done.
I feel like it's going to be a really close call.
I liked my dish a lot.
And I think I was ahead of her just a little bit, so I think I might win by just a hair.
So we're down to the final round with dessert. Chef Haley, please tell the judges about your dessert.
All right, so I kind of made an upscale grilled cheese. There's chocolate cream cheese in it. There is cut strawberries, there is cherries, and I have the coconut in there, and I lightly dusted the cracker in there, and then I have the toast.
What gave you the inspiration for a French toast or a grilled cheese?
Well, I saw the cream cheese and I didn't really know exactly what to do with it, but I was like, oh, maybe like a bagel, but then I thought, oh, cream cheese, maybe grilled cheese with like fillings. So.
And where'd you put the cherries at?
The cherries, they're with the strawberries in there. They're really small cuts.
There's
Mr. Tobar, what do you think?
right there.
Well, Haley, I like the idea. I think the idea of the kind of a lady finger or a French toast, grilled cheese concept, but once again, that burnt bread took away from all the flavors. I had to really dig deep, kind of open it up and taste some of the filling, and the filling worked. The chunks of the fruit was a little big for my liking, especially with the size of the dish. Overall, lots of room for improvement.
Chef.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, on my plate, there's stuff splattered all over. When you have a cherry, I would have liked it more pronounced. I got a lot of strawberry, but not a lot of cherry. The burnt, a lot of bread. It wasn't that crispy bread. I think if you were doing more of a French toast, get that technique. Dip it in the bread, fry it up, instead of just toasting the bread like you did. So yeah, obviously room for improvement, but it's a tough competition. So just putting something on the plate is a kudos to you.
Elizabeth.
I thought it was very clever, kind of like an elevated peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but elevated. So I thought it was a really great idea. And I actually enjoyed the flavor. My criticism would be there was a little bit too much butter used in the frying of the bread, so there was a greasy aftertaste, but the first bite initially was very good, and I liked the cream cheese and the almond butter mixed with the fruit. I thought that was a great combination.
Carson?
I enjoyed it. I definitely think you could have upped the amount of the cream cheese on it. I couldn't really taste that at first. Again, with the fruit, it was kind of big. But overall, I thought it was good.
Now on to Chef Gage. Gage, could you tell them about your dish?
So I took the croissant dough and conjoined 2 of them together and rolled it out and then put it on the bottom of a muffin pan. I mixed a couple mint leaves and sugar together and blended it together into a mint sugar, which I dusted the outside of the croissant dough with. I also used that sugar in the cream cheese that I have made along with the cocoa powder, making a mint and chocolate cream cheese frosting.
Carson, let's tell us what you think about the dish.
I think it was plated well. I definitely think 1 croissant would have been good enough. It's very doughy. The cream cheese is, I think, overly sweet. You know, it's good, but I think you could just tone it back a little bit.
I would, yeah, too much dough. Not really sure where the almond butter and the saltines come into play. I think you could have done a better job, you know, bringing that into the plate. The cream cheese, at first I thought you were going more of like a cheesecake texture. And it kind of shifted with the cocoa powder and the mint.
Texture-wise though, it was all the same note. It was a soft dough, it was the soft almond butter, the soft cream cheese filling. So you needed some different types of textures in there because it was kind of very doughy frosting texture.
I like the idea of kind of a puff pastry, but as my colleague said, really that too much dough, maybe a thinner layer. I really loved actually the saltines in the almond butter, that crunchiness that I wish it could have been used a little more creatively. I didn't really enjoy how the coconut was used and kind of just thrown all over the place. I think it could have been incorporated into the dish. Good flavors, needed some sort of contrast. Maybe something citrusy, some use of the other fruits. The cherry felt out of place. I don't know, maybe chopping up a big old cherry like that just didn't work for me. Again, it didn't go with the dish. It just felt thrown on top. But overall, great presentation. My mint leaf was
actually kind of big there. All right.
Go for a mouthful, go for the fun.
Oh, go for cake!
Cakes for everyone. Just one stack is what it takes, and it's go for cakes. Open wide, stuff your face. There's always room for more Gopher cakes. Empty the box, then reload. Eat those Gopher cakes till you explode.
Exercised lately?
Till you explode.
Don't let E. coli mosh with your food. An estimated 3,000 Americans die from a foodborne illness each year. So always separate raw meat from vegetables. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov.
So whose dish will be minced? Chef Haley, you have been minced.
Overall, I mean, from start to finish, both of you were neck and neck. It was a really close call, but we thought that the burnt bread on the dessert was one of the determining factors. But overall, we were very, very happy with what you did.
Gage, he absolutely killed it this whole competition. Like, I was really surprised that he did that well. And I mean, I was the youngest one out of all of them. Hopefully, the culinary industry is ready for me.
Chef Gage, congratulations. You are a Minced champion.
We gave you the title as Minced champion just based on your consistent approach. The Iceman, as you are titled, that calm, cool, collected approach. really paid off. You were very original in all your dishes. You thought outside the box, and just your consistency is what gave you this title, so congratulations.
I feel happy that I showed up today with, in my mindset, I was going to win, and I ended up winning. So I'm happy that I did that.